Hello, and welcome to this exploration of tangrams and pattern blocks. To get started, we're going to do a notice and wonder. These 7 pieces are what we call tangrams. They are like little puzzle pieces that form a square puzzle. Before we begin this exploration, I just want to go through that notice and wonder. When we do a notice and wonder, we begin with the question, what do you notice? We will notice facts, things that we can observe, true statements, things like all of these pieces are tan, or there are a lot of triangles. Those are facts that we can see just based on our observation. After we talk about the things that we notice, then we will move on to what do you wonder? When we see these things, we start wondering certain things. We have questions. It makes us ask all sorts of things like, how do they fit together? How do they form a square? And so to begin this, I want you to pause the recording as you think to yourself the answer to the question, what do you notice? Pause the recording now. And we're back. Some of the things you may have noticed, besides the ones already stated, would be things like there's 2 small triangles. There's 2 large triangles. There is a square. Some of the triangles have right angles. There's this piece here. Maybe I can't tell if it's a parallelogram or a rhombus, but I can see that it is for sure at least a parallelogram. Those are all things that we might notice. You can even go in more depth, like I noticed that there are isosceles triangles. It depends on your knowledge of these shapes, how much you might notice. Let's move on to the next piece. What do you wonder? What questions come up based on these 7 pieces? Pause the recording as you think about the question, what do you wonder? Other things that you might wonder, how many small triangles would fit into a large triangle? How many small triangles would fit into a square? Are all of these angles in the triangles, are they right angles? Those are great things to wonder. Now, let's move on to our exploration. Compare the smallest triangle to the other shapes. Specifically, how many small triangles will fit into each of the other shapes? So, in this program, I can pick up these small triangles and I can move them around and try and overlap them. And it looks like, based on me placing this one here, I might be able to, I'm going to get a couple extras up here. It looks like I might be able to fit a couple more. Looks like that's going to fit in there very nicely. That's going to fit in there. And I'll create one more. And it looks like I can fit 4 of those small triangles all into that one big triangle. How many can I fit into each of these other pieces? That is for you to try and explore. The next part of the exploration includes doing what the tangrams are designed to do. They're designed to make all of these shapes, starting with the square. Can you use all 7 of these shapes to make a perfect square? That's your next challenge. After you have mastered building the square, tangrams can be used to design and form other pieces. For example, can you use all 7 pieces to form this sailboat shape? Once you build that sailboat shape, can you use all 7 pieces to build this cat figure? And again, there are lots and lots of designs that you can create. You can make up your own, or you can follow instructions to make certain patterns based on the silhouettes. That's it for tangrams. Let's move on to exploring pattern blocks. These shapes that you see on the screen are called pattern blocks. Again, let's start with a notice and wonder. What do you notice? Some things I noticed. It looks like this is a trapezoid, and it looks like that trapezoid is half of a hexagon. It looks like this is a rhombus. It looks like this is a rhombus, a square, I noticed that there are all different colors for each of these 6 shapes. What are some things that you noticed? Let's move on to what do you wonder? When you see these 6 shapes, what do you wonder? Pause the recording as you think about that. Again, I wonder if I can fit some triangles inside of this trapezoid. I wonder if this triangle will fit into this rhombus. I wonder if this is a rhombus or if it's just a parallelogram. I wonder if all of those sides are the same length. I wonder if this shape can fit inside of the hexagon. What are some things that you wonder? As we move on in our exploration of pattern blocks, I want us to answer these questions. How many green triangles will fit on a red trapezoid? How many green triangles will fit on a blue rhombus? And how many green triangles will fit on a hexagon? I'm going to leave that for you to explore. As we continue on in this exploration, I also want you to make a tessellation. What that really means is I want us to tile the plane or create a design that will fill the screen without any gaps between any of the shapes, and try not to overlap the shapes either. For example, I might pull this shape down and notice that a triangle will fit very nicely right next to it. That allows me to pull down another trapezoid, or excuse me, another hexagon, and I can fill in that shape there. Looks like I need to do a rotation, but after spinning that a little bit, now I can fit that in the gap. Now I say no gaps, but of course I can't quite get this rotated perfectly, so no gaps, understanding the limitations of the technology that I'm using, or when you're using your physical pieces of paper that sometimes we just can't get them as close together as we would like. I can continue to create this design, filling up that whole entire space. I could even use some extra pieces, like maybe I want to use some hexagons or some of these trapezoids to fill in this space instead of using some extra hexagons. So I just want to create a design that is going to fill this entire page. Maybe I can even include some of these rhombuses, and maybe I can bring in another triangle. Just trying to be creative with how I can fill that plane. So create a design that will fill this entire page. And again, you've got more space below, so that means I should probably bring in some extra shapes even here below. Again, trying to fill in that whole entire page without any gaps and without any of my shapes overlapping. That's it for this exploration of tangrams and pattern blocks. Have fun exploring!